thank you all again for participating in the Partners Campus information session. We want to share some updates about what's going on with Partners Campus and kind of give a real formal background of what Partners Campus is. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that here. I'd like to introduce my co-presenter, Juan Perez, co-founder and ex-president of Partners Campus AFE in Medellin, Colombia. We're going to hear from him a little bit later today about his experience as leader of Partners Campus AFE. So what we're going to cover during this session is a little bit about what Partners of the Americas is. I know that some of you are already in the network and others are interested in joining the network. Then we'll go into a little bit of background on what Partners Campus student chapters are and why we are now calling them Partners Campus student chapters. And then we'll talk a little bit about the Partners Campus model and how you can take action. So Partners of the Americas is a network of service organizations across the Americas, and our mission is to connect people and organizations across borders to serve and change lives through lasting partnerships. And so the little graphic you see on the screen now is a visual that we like to use of the Partners Network, because there's so many different actors and factors in what really makes the Partners Network. And so some of those you can see there include our chapters and volunteers who are sort of in the formal network, we would say, and we also bring in colleges and universities and government agencies and different programs and businesses. A little bit of background on Partners of the Americas. We have over 70 chapters in 33 countries across the hemisphere. We also have more than 10 Partners campuses already in our network, and that is still growing. We also work on development programs that are coordinated out of the international office and in the field in 20 countries really around the world. And we have staff members based in, when I say international office, that's in Washington, D.C. And so that's sort of the central hub of these program operations. And we really work to facilitate connections between chapters and members who are in the field and all over. And so Partners was founded by President Kennedy in 1964 as part of the Alliance for Progress. And so it was a government institution in the beginning and has since transitioned to be a nonprofit organization with, like I said, our international offices in Washington, D.C. Just a little bit about Partners. 10,000 volunteers have contributed 1 million hours of service. And just in the past 10 years. And so we're able to record these hours through a tool called Partners Counts, which we encourage you all to record your hours in when you join the Partners Network. So transitioning a little bit to Partners Campus student chapters and really the reason for their role in the Partners Network is that educational institutions are a really important part of the Partners of the Americas network, and we see it as a natural institutions that connect people through the exchange of knowledge in the hemisphere. And so this graphic here is a little bit about the youth network, the Partners of the Americas Youth Network, in different ways that people can be involved in the Partners of the Americas network from early on all the way through their professional careers. And so you see here across the bottom, there's high school, university, college, and professional development. And we intentionally don't put ages here. When we refer to youth, we're typically referring to people under the age of 30. But when it comes to Partners Campus and some of our other programs, they're not necessarily age bound. So you'll see in high school, we have some specific youth programs like Youth Lead and a whole host of programs that use the Youth Lead model. But those can continue on through university and college years as well. We also encourage young people to be involved in the traditional chapter network. Those are our community-based chapters that have really been the foundation of our network for the past 50 years. But then heading into university and college, there open up some new opportunities for people in the Partners of the Americas network, including Partners Campus student chapters. So those are open to any group of students at an educational institution. So we understand that students might not necessarily be under 30, which is why we have those as a university or college opportunity. as well as the President's Internship Program, which is really sort of a transition between a university college experience and the professional development or young professional realm as students are continuing to develop their skills. And then going on into the professional development phase of Partners of the Americas, members of the network can really start to take advantage of some of the professional leadership exchanges that Partners of the Americas coordinates from the international office, and also continuing to be involved in the Partners of the Americas chapter network forever. So what is a Partners Campus student chapter? Well, it's a Partners of the Americas chapter that's based at an educational institution and led by students. And so this is really clear, or really a key point, is that Partners Campus student chapter is led by students. And so being at an educational institution, they certainly need support and to have the structure and the network and the recognition from their educational institution. But in the end, it really is like a student organization at the educational institution. So the reason that Partners Campuses are now called student chapters as well, you'll notice potentially if you've been around the Partners Campus network in the past that we used to just refer to them as Partners Campuses, but at the 50th anniversary convention at our annual Congress, our membership meeting this year, the Board of Directors of Partners of the Americas passed new bylaws that now allow Partners Campuses to become student chapters within the Partners of the Americas network. And so this is an official title and an official recognition of charter within Partners of the Americas, which means that Partners Campus members or the Partners Campus student chapter as a unit now has a voice and a vote in what happens in the Partners of the Americas network on the international level, including that they can vote for board of directors and other things that pass before membership, and also that they can run to be on the board of directors. They can elect members to be on the board. This also means that there are some new sort of requirements and structures in place for becoming a student chapter, which, like I said, we can stick around after this session or participate in another session to learn a little bit more about what those mean. So why I think some of you are here, I want to touch a little bit on that because we do have a really diverse audience today. And hopefully this sort of sums up all of the different people who are potentially in the audience here. So first of all, if you're an educational institution or a representative of one, like a faculty or a staff member, Partners Campus is a really valuable way to internationalize your campus by connecting students to service and leadership opportunities in the Americas. And so by that, I mean that you have the opportunity to build all of the connections that Partners Campus student chapters are building within the Partners of the Americas network and even locally in their communities as they're reaching out for service projects and other types of initiatives in the local community. We also expect that you'll be graduating more effective leaders and global citizens. And you'll be opened up to the Partners of the Americas network, which brings about many more opportunities as well. If you're a chapter member or representative of another community organization, this is a great way to cultivate voluntary spirit in the Americas. And especially for chapters, you'll be mentoring the next generation of volunteer leaders who we hope that you'll also welcome into your chapter either during their time in school or once they graduate from their role as leaders in Partners Campus. So we know that you'll be expanding your network, and we hope that you'll also be able to foster dialogue about leadership and volunteerism and be able to form innovative partnerships, really, collaborate with student leaders who might be working on different projects, but might also have some projects that really align with yours, and you can have some creative and innovative new initiatives in your community. And for students, really, Partners Campus is an opportunity to apply your academic, professional, and personal expertise to social issues in your community. And you can do all of that while leveraging the massive Partners of the Americas network in a variety of ways, which we'll hear about in a little bit. So to talk a little bit more about the Partners Campus model, and here's where I'm going to ask Juan to jump into and go a little bit back and forth to tell us about his experience as a leader of Partners Campus AFE. But we believe that by joining Partners Campus student chapters, or by founding a Partners Campus student chapter, students can become effective agents of change in their community through what we would consider sort of the 3 pillars of Partners Campus, which are community leadership, civic engagement, and volunteerism. And so I'm going to go into those a little bit more here as well. So when I talk about community leadership, we're identifying and strengthening leadership capacities of leaders in our network through training and collaboration with other students. We're really preparing them to be leaders in an ever-globalizing world with the recognition and understanding of their role in the community as agents of change. Civic engagement and volunteerism. Student leaders are expanding their awareness of the world around them so that they can be better volunteer leaders. And so we believe that involving yourself in the community allows you to better understand the realities in the community and the context in which you're volunteering so that you can more effectively contribute your time and expertise in meaningful and effective ways. And professional development, the last pillar of Partners Campus. Being on a college or a university campus or at another educational institution, which could also include binational centers, for example, or other forms of educational institutions, has really unique qualities. When students are students, or when they're positioned on a campus somewhere, they have a really intentional time set aside for learning and developing their professional abilities and their personal abilities as well. And learning and exploration and creativity are really encouraged in those settings. And so professional development is really unique to Partners Campuses in a way that by leading a Partners Campus student chapter, members and leaders are able to expand and apply their knowledge and skills and abilities while building their own professional networks. And we hope that, as they're working toward a profession where they're going to have an impact on the world one way or another, we hope that by being involved in service, they'll be seeking careers and really applying their skills and awareness in a positive, ethical, and effective way. So, Juan, I want to pass this off to you a little bit more, and maybe you can tell us about how your experience as a Partners Campus student chapter leader helped to really foster each of these different elements. And so maybe you can start with community leadership.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Christy. As Christy was mentioning, I was the founder of one of the partner campuses here in Medellin, Colombia, and I have been with the network for a little bit over 2 years on developing strategies and helping them structurize a little bit the idea of how to connect the partner campuses to the network itself. So I want to start off with a little bit of my experience. And if we can make sure that the 3 pillars are the fundamentals in which we are going to focus the development of the partner campus at an institution, at an organization, or any group. And I think that after that, the most important thing to remember is that Partner Campus is a student organization, and as a student organization, it is important that we develop certain educational aspects within their students that are leading this project. And as Christy was mentioning, the community leadership is the first one. And every Partner Campus is different, and according to your surroundings is how you developed the lines of impact or the projects in which you're going to work to make a change within your community. So a strategical management organization is completely fundamental for the leaders that become part of these projects. Civil engagement and volunteerism, it is important to understand that it is a student organization. As a student organization, what we're trying to do is to get students involved in volunteer projects. And for that, it's extremely important to make the right connections within the community, be able to be connected to different institutions, to your regional chapters, as well as other volunteerism networks within your region. Also, as far as professional development, well, it really it teaches you things that you don't really see in a classroom. So it puts you out there in putting your abilities to practice and developing networking, learning how to speak in public, prepare for interviews. I mean, there's so much added value that you can gain from becoming a member of a partner campus or starting a partner campus or institution that it really is important.
Thank you, Juan, for sharing your experience with Partners Campus. I'd like to transition us now into how do we make a Partners Campus happen by starting with really what the fundamentals are, those that are at the core of what makes a Partners Campus student chapter a Partners Campus student chapter. The first core element is Partners Inspiration, which I think you can get through participating in a Partners event or knowing somebody who's in the Partners network and really seeing how they make an impact on the community around them. Another core element is being a student at an educational institution that is supportive and being a student that is willing to take initiative and willing to bring others on board to make a change in their community. And so at its core, that's what Partners Campus is. But for a Partners Campus to really be successful, we look for a few core elements that we see in thriving Partners Campuses that are really characteristic of those that have been successful in the past. And so these are the elements that make a Partners Campus successful in that it's able to recruit, maintain, and engage members and to really make a positive impact in the community by building lasting partnerships that endure transitions in leadership, because student organizations are often turning over. There are quick transitions in leadership from year to year as students come and then they graduate. So these are the core elements that we've seen in a Partners Campus. And so the first, we see that student leaders need to be able to transform their ideas into a clear vision and action plan for working toward that vision. So the mission of Partners can be interpreted and applied in infinite ways. So it's really important for a student group to be able to carve out a niche for themselves and identify some concrete steps for engaging with their local community. And acting out the Partners mission in a way that addresses true community needs in an informed and effective way, and one that aligns with their members' personal and professional goals and the opportunities for partnership in their community. A second element of a thriving Partners Campus is learning from the community. And so these, in showing a genuine curiosity and interest in the world around them, student leaders can better understand the unique assets of their local and global communities, and they can more effectively contribute as engaged citizens. So thriving Partners Campuses participate actively at their institutions and in community events. They explore other places through sharing of information with others in the Partners Network or through travel, and they seek out opportunities to discuss the social, economic, and political context in which they live and volunteer. A third element of a thriving Partners Campus is active and continuous support from the institution. To be effective student leaders, they need an environment that is supportive and not a barrier, that provides some key resources and that recognizes and fosters leadership and opportunities for engagement and dialogue, and that actively support student-led initiatives and collaborate with student leaders. A fourth element of a thriving Partners Campus are strong local partnerships. Really, with a more acute awareness of the world around them, student leaders can creatively align the community resources that they have to provide a service that addresses a specific community need. So they can do this in collaboration with support from host institution, from chapters, from partners chapters, and from other local organizations. So this is where some of you in the audience come in. Student leaders might be driving the organization, but they really do so most effectively with mentorship and guidance from experts in the field, like you. And really having the opportunity to leverage the many resources that are available in their communities, they can really thrive as a Partners Campus. Another element is engagement with the Partners Network and programs. So extending beyond the local communities where Partners Campus student chapters are serving, thriving Partners Campuses also leverage connections in the broader Partners of the Americas network. So this means that they can really contribute meaningfully to the exchange of ideas and best practices, and they benefit from a broader awareness of our hemisphere. Also, students might engage with the Partners Network in other ways during their time as students or even after graduating by building skills and awareness or applying their leadership skills and awareness of the world around them as effective change agents in their local and global community. And finally, thriving Partners Campuses are also reflective and they're always striving for improvement. So this means that they're regularly reflecting on their impact as a student organization. They share their results with others, They identify and share the best practices of the work that they've done with others, and they're always striving to learn more, challenge themselves, and engage their members more creatively to build stronger partnerships and really make connections that spread their impact even more widely. This graphic here just elaborates a little bit more on what we mean by the network that can surround a Partners Campus. And so at its core, again, Partners Campus is student-led, but that doesn't mean that they aren't meant to be working with all of these other actors in the community and in the Partners of the Americas network. So from chapters and chapter members, these are the traditional community-based chapters that have been the foundation of our network, by national centers and other institutions like that in local communities. Also, the Partners International Office plays a role in supporting and connecting Partners campuses. Higher education institutions, obviously, where the Partners Campus student chapters are based. And then their local partners and local supporters in community organizations and businesses, as well as embassies and local government agencies. These institutions all partner with Partners Campuses, and being student leaders, these leaders are still developing. They're still learning skills, and I would argue that we all are still developing and continuing to develop our skills throughout our lifetime. And so being a campus chapter really has its unique qualities, like I said, where on campus students have access to a unique range of resources through their educational institutions, and they also have unique mindset as they're preparing for their professional lives. And so we certainly recognize and encourage Partners Campus student chapters to engage with all of these different stakeholders or resources or partners, really allies in their local and even in our hemispheric-wide community. I also want to point out some qualities that we recognize amongst our effective student leaders in the Partners Campus network at this time. We see that effective student leaders are inquisitive. They are curious about the world around them, and they aren't afraid to ask questions or just take initiative to explore. They take initiative. So when they have an idea or they see something that needs to be done, they do it. And in the context of Partners of the Americas and in Partners Campus student chapters, this might mean that a person gets together, a group of peers, starts talking about what voluntary service is in the Americas, and starts a Partners Campus student chapter, or maybe joins a Partners Campus student chapter and really gets involved in their local community. Another quality of an effective student leader is one who articulates their ideas. And so it's really easy to absorb a lot of information around us, and through all of that curiosity, students might just be absorbing things, but being able then to transform that into ideas and articulate those to peers and to their networks is really important. We also look for collaborative student leaders. We find that those are the most effective in our network. They're always seeking partnerships in their local community, within their university or their educational institution. They're reaching out to local Partners of the Americas chapters if there are chapters there, and really just figuring out ways to share the knowledge and expertise and energy that they have with others, and also to benefit from partnerships that they can make in their community. They also take time to discuss their ideas and their challenges with others, continuing to explore these ideas and challenging their ideas too, which in the end we believe really makes for better action, better volunteer service. They also inform the network of their accomplishments. So it's really important, at least from the international office point of view in the Partners Campus student chapter network, to be able to make connections between Partners Campus student chapters across the hemisphere, and then also plug them into other connections in the whole network of Partners of the Americas. And so by hearing regularly from student leaders of Partners Campus student chapters, we at the international level are really able to make those connections. But also on the people-to-people level, on the student chapter to student chapter level, really effective leaders are posting on Facebook. They're reaching out by Skype to ask other student leaders what's going on. They are sharing what they're doing and what they're accomplishing with others, so that it really opens doors for future collaboration, and it really just shares what their accomplishments are so we can capture that. Speaking of capturing that, some of the early impacts of Partners Campus really in a general sense, are that there have been more than 20 Partners Campus student chapters founded since 2012, and that includes several hundred members across the hemisphere. And with the new definition of what a Partners Campus student chapter is, we hope to really be able to capture in more concrete numbers how many members and how many Partners Campus student chapters there are currently and into the future. And there are also dozens of partnerships that have been formed on the community level and on the international level with community organizations, nonprofits, government agencies, educational institutions, and even other Partners of the Americas chapters or other members in the local areas. That translates into hundreds of children and families who have been impacted by the variety of projects that have been initiated and continued by Partners Campus student chapters across the hemisphere. And finally, we have a couple of alumni, too, in our network who have continued on to careers in service, either based on connections that they made through Partners Campus or through Partners of the Americas. And Juan, I think this would be a good time for you to maybe talk a little bit about your personal experience with Partners Campus AFE and what's going on with the student chapter there.
What we have done here on Partner Campus, we have developed a strategy to get students involved into the communities through bilingual projects. So we are going to a school has 67 kids that have been members of communities where they were impacted by the conflict in Colombia. And now they're in these institutions in which we have university students go there every week and teach them English. Other thing that we've done is that last year we have a Partner Campus Convention, the second Partner Campus Conventions, which gather over 100 people here in Medellin to discuss how to work together with other partners and how to strengthen the network of partner campuses across the Americas. Internally, we have developed a professional development project in which every month we give students that are members of the Partner Campus training on different aspects about leadership, development, teamwork activities. So it is a constant process of learning and teaching and letting others know how to do different processes to be able to actually take action in the community. So those are just some of the strategies that we have implemented. For example, for us, our 4 pillars within the Partner Campus AFIT is internationalization, volunteerism, leadership, and research. It is very important that we also learn and are developing skills and develop skills on doing academic research, because if we teach this for students, and that they're able to do more critical thinking about what is happening in the community and get involved through a more academic point of view. Those are some of my experiences. Before the constant process of persistence, you have to be very persistent. You're going to encounter a lot of challenges, but be able to find support in the network, in the international office, in your advisors at your universities, and it's a great learning experience.
Great. Thank you, Juan, for pointing out some of the partnerships that you formed and some of the impact that you've had in Medellin. Also, you have continued on into sort of a career really that is related to service and that is related to the Partners of the Americas network. Can you share what it is that you're working on right now?
I couldn't get away from what Partners was doing, so I found other opportunities within the network to continue my career as a professional, and I am now consultant for the 100,000 Strong in the Americas initiative, from which my university is part of. It is a way that you can continue developing through your professional by making this part of your career. What is very important as well is that I have now, former president of the Partner Campus, I have become an advisor for the group, and at a regional level, I have become members of the chapter. I've become a member of the chapter in Antioquia, and this allows me to continue connected, to stay connected to the network, and at the same time be able to work through my professional career in other projects that are part of the Partners Network.
Thank you, Juan.
You're welcome.
I bet you all want to know how you can take action so that you can either start a Partners Campus student chapter or support the foundation of one at an educational institution. So first, I want to go through kind of the step-by-step for educational institutions. And so if you're a faculty or staff member or other person associated with an educational institution, the first thing that I can recommend for you to do is to join partners. And the way to join partners is through Partners Connect, which is at partners.net/partnersconnect. You can join as an individual member, or your educational institution can actually join as an institutional or an organizational member of Partners of the Americas. You can find out more information about that again at partners.net/partnersconnect. And then I also encourage you to tell others at your institution about Partners of the Americas and about Partners Campus student chapters. So tell faculty, tell staff, tell students, always be talking about it. Because like I said, Partners Campus student chapter really needs to be found and led by students. And so it's not something that an educational institution can start overnight. If you're a faculty member who says, oh, we want a Partners Campus here at my university, then the way to do that is really by fostering an environment of service, leadership, and global engagement at your institution, creating spaces for students to engage in service, to exercise their leadership capacities, and also to really be interested in global engagement. And so by doing this and by having faculty, staff, and students all knowing about Partners of the Americas and about Partners Campus student chapters, you're creating the environment. You're starting to put the feelers out there so that when there is a motivated student leader, you can recognize them, or another faculty member, another staff member can recognize these motivated student leaders who might be really good candidates to be founders of a Partners Campus student chapter, and you can encourage them to found one. Or if you're at an institution that already has a Partners Campus student chapter, you can also help to motivate these student leaders and recognize them so that you can encourage them to join a local chapter. And finally, once there is a student chapter at your institution, continue to support them. Like both Juan and I have talked about before, while Partners Campus student chapters are led by students, they are certainly still in development and still exploring and still learning about voluntary service in the Americas and how to engage in their local communities and how to engage on their college campuses. And they're still developing their professional skills. So your educational institution can support student chapters by providing professional development opportunities and other opportunities to engage in the local community as well. Now, if you're from a Partners of the Americas chapter or a community organization, in a similar vein to educational institutions, we encourage you to promote Partners of the Americas and Partners Campus student chapters within your network. So if you have faculty or staff or even students from educational institutions in your network who participate in your meetings or who participate in projects that you work on, tell them about Partners Campus student chapters and the opportunity to engage on a campus level with Partners of the Americas, so that they can use the time while they're studying, if they're a student, for example, so they can use that time while they're studying to develop their professional skills and engage in their community, but to do so in a way where they are leading other students and they're partnering with other students, and it's a very intentional way to grow skills in the network. Also, in chapter meetings, for example, or if you're at a community organization, in different meetings and events that you have, take that opportunity to foster meaningful discussions about community development and volunteerism and global engagement. Why is it important to you? That's a way to really start the discussion and get students and get faculty and staff members at educational institutions thinking about the importance of service and community development in the Americas, and either encouraging students to take action or educational institutions to really see the value in supporting a Partners Campus student chapter at their institution. Once you've sort of set the groundwork and created the environment for a Partners Campus leader to arise, encourage promising leaders to found or join a Partners Campus student chapter at their institution. And when I say educational institutions again, I can refer to universities or colleges, potentially even high schools, binational centers, anywhere where there's a campus or an educational institution where students are naturally coming together around that learning environment, and where they have the opportunity to create a student organization to have sort of extracurricular activity. And then finally, for chapters and community organizations, collaborate with Partners Campus student chapters once they're there. These are, another institution in your network that has innovative ideas and can bring energy to ideas and creativity. So see them certainly as an asset and collaborate with them in as many ways as possible. And then finally, welcome alumni from Partners Campus student chapters into your chapter. One idea would be to even have like a graduation ceremony. If you do have a Partners Campus student chapter nearby, have a graduation ceremony and offer them a year of membership or however that works for your chapter, so that you are harnessing the talent that they've built over the past years as leaders in the student chapter network to be able to apply in your own chapter. Now, finally, for students who are participating today, you can start taking action same way as with educational institutions and chapters and community organizations. Start talking with your peers about how student-led volunteerism and global engagement can make a difference in your community. What are your ideas? What have you learned? What is your partner's inspiration? If you have partner's inspiration already, start to share that so you can also create an environment for a Partners Campus student chapter at your institution. And once you've started to foster those ideas, we encourage you to participate in a Partners Campus student chapter workshop so that you can transform those ideas into action. And so the registration for the upcoming workshop is going to open on November 1st. And so there's going to be a workshop at the end of this year, and then hopefully periodically as well in the future, as sort of a launching pad for founding a Partners Campus student chapter. And we'll go into a lot more detail about how to transform ideas into action, what Partners of the Americas, and how Partners Campus student chapters work. And coming out of that workshop, you will be able to found or join a Partners Campus student chapter so that you can make an impact alongside a team of student leaders. And so that's another thing that is really important to point out about Partners Campus student chapters, is that because they are student organizations, it's a huge exercise in teamwork. Student leaders are not alone in the ideas that they have. They need to encourage others to also take action and to share those ideas and challenge themselves and challenge others to really strive for even more improvement and strive for really transforming the ideas that they have into action in their community. And then finally, we certainly want you as students to stay engaged in the Partners of the Americas network and to also be able to share the best practices that you've developed and to share your stories and really what works with the rest of the Partners network. That's how our network functions. It's a space where people can share ideas and collaborate and grow together. So it's really important to share those ideas and to share your impact stories as well with others. And from the international office here in Washington, we commit to a few things as well to support the Partners Campus Student Chapter Network. And so one of those things is facilitating these workshops that we're talking about, and to compile resource guides, sort of how-to guides, as we see a need for those in the network. We also serve the role of connecting Partners Campus student chapters to one another and to the rest of the Partners network, creating spaces to do that. We also inform Partners Campus student leaders of opportunities that are available to the Partners Network. So in some cases, those might be events that are happening or exchange opportunities or resources that are open to Partners chapters or to individuals in the Partners Network. We also take time to advise Partners Campus student chapters. And so like Juan said, he and Partners Campus AFE have reached out to the Partners of the Americas International Office from time to time to sort of find out what's going on with other chapters, to get some ideas about really why the Partners Campus is part of the Partners of the Americas network and sharing what resources that they need to be successful. And then the other way too, having support from the international office about everything from fundraising and recruitment to how to develop effective projects and strategies to run a Partners Campus student chapter. And finally, the international office also opens spaces that are virtual and in person for reflection, for sharing of best practices, and for reporting back out to the network. And so we do that, again, virtually in places like Facebook or on the website or sort of other platforms that are soon to come, in webinars like this as well. And then also sharing of best practices in those spaces, and also reporting, creating templates, creating different ways and structures too, and sending out requests for reports. So to keep everybody on track so that they're continually taking time to think about what the impact is and what their strategy is as a Partners Campus student chapter. So in closing, the next steps for everyone are anyone who's participating in this webinar today can register on Partners Connect, which again is www.partners.net/partnersconnect. And again, there you can register as an individual, you can register as like an organization or a higher education institution, or that will also be the place where Partners Campus student chapters will register as organizations and chapters as well. For more information about Partners Camp, we have recently updated the Partners Campus website, which is at www.partners.net/partnerscampus. There will be resources that are continuing to populate that page as well, and the pages that are within it. For now, there's sort of a how-to and a beginning of how to found a Partners Campus. You can also share this virtual info session with others who weren't able to participate today. So another way to stay in touch with Partners is on social media. So Partners of the Americas has a Twitter account and a Facebook where you can find us, and Partners Campus also has, you'll see at the bottom of the screen here, a group on Facebook. And so this is a closed group to people who are in the Partners Network who are interested in starting a Partners Campus or who are in Partners Campus. So this is where our existing Partners Campus student chapters share what's going on, they post questions to everybody, or they share successes or anything that they need to share there. So you guys are welcome to check that out as well. For students, the next step for you, again, is to participate in the Partners Campus Student Chapter Workshop, which will be a tool that you can use to either found or recharter your student chapter. And the upcoming workshop, the registration will open November 1st. And then there will be pre-conference or pre-workshop exercises that will be released on November 18th. We anticipate the actual workshop to take place on December 4th, which is a Thursday, and we don't have a time frame for that yet, but that will be announced on November 1st. And then there will be some post-workshop exercises that will be distributed during that workshop and due on December 18th. And so the idea is to create a very intentional space for people who are already Partners Campuses or who are interested in getting a group together to found a Partners Campus, to take a month and go through all of the processes together so that they can really work together with other existing Partners Campus student chapters or others who have the energy right now and the motivation to start a Partners Campus student chapter. I thank you all for participating in the Partners Campus info session. I do see that Karina has her hand raised.
Hello, I'm Karina Casado from Barranquilla. I am the founder of Partners Campus Uninorte here in Universidad del Norte. I will not say a question, but a participation. You are welcome to the network of the Partners of Americas and Partners Campus. You have a question or other thing, please say to Christy, because the international office is open of all requirements or questions that we can have.
Thank you, Karina. Yes, completely agreed. Part of founding a Partners Campus as well, there's a mentorship component in the foundation process. And so we will be connecting you and your new Partners Campus student chapter with leaders like Karina or with Juan to sort of guide you through the first year of being a Partners Campus student chapter and how to really engage fully in our network, but then also sort of on the student organization level, how you can most effectively be a student and participate in your local community. So I don't see any other questions or hand raised at this point. So again, thank you to those of you who participated in the Partners Campus Student Chapter Information Session. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more of an intro into what's going on in the Partners Campus Student Chapter realm. And certainly feel free to continue to use that question box to raise your hand or to send an email to campus@partners.net after the session, or post on Facebook any questions that you have so that we can start to develop an FAQ section. So thank you all again for participating. We appreciate your support. Thank you, Juan, for sharing your experiences in the presentation, and Karina for extending your support and your contribution as well. So thanks again, and appreciate your time, and have a great day.